kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds, and when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me.
Welcome everybody to Sim Racing Media, home tonight of the Monsters of Speed NewGen Cup Series. I am Mike Demoni, back up in the booth. Glad to be with everyone here. Last week, we saw these guys take on Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Greg Wood led 28 laps, wound up winning that race. Ricky Gonzalez led one lap, but was able to bring home position 2. But the two drivers that we needed to, well, there was 4, but the two drivers who wound up winning and advancing in the Scratch and Claw mid-season tournament that the Monsters of Speed League has been putting on here is Mark Parkhurst finished in 3rd, and Blake Howell finished in 5th, ahead of Austin Missler and Jonathan Cogswell. So those two will battle it out tonight to see who can bring home the tournament championship. And as we do that, let's go ahead and throw up the season standings here after race 9. Mark Parkhurst is still comfortably in the lead here with 453 points. Blake Howell with 417. Greg Wood with 411. Jonathan Cogswell 392. Austin Missler 386, Ricky Gonzalez 385, Kevin Gibney Jr. 314, George Jewell 306, Dylan McDonald 302, Ira Kohlhaas with 301. And that is the top 10. The only one outside the top 10 that has qualified, as long as he makes his 8 starts, is going to be Mark Gonzalez with 214. We'll go ahead and jump down here as they are qualifying here at Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California. We will be set for 100 laps. Got a couple stage breaks in there as well. Austin Missler threw down a 40.84, but Blake Howe beat that on his second lap with a 40.76. Wes Fuller ran a 40.94 so far. David Mazepin with a 41.10. Already have a couple people in the chat. Joseph McDonald, of course, cheering for Dylan McDonald. Looks like Ira Kohlhaas is 41.12. James McCanney 41.15. Nolan Pomeran with a 40.98 that time by Jonathan Cogswell. First lap was a 41.22. Zach Woods a 41.27. Glad to see Zach back out on track. We got a couple others that just jumped out here. Looks like George Jewell, John McIntyre, got that number 2 Miller Lite Ford out here running. He's getting ready to complete lap 1. This is one of the more different tracks that we come to. It has mostly relatively flat banking in the turns. I mean, it's only 14 degrees. Backstretch is a little flat with only 3 degrees of banking, so we will see some guys slip and slide on that backstretch a little bit. Front stretch is 11. But we are in for 100 laps. We have a stage break at lap 25 and one at lap 50. McIntyre on his first lap did a 41.39. Cogswell on his last lap did a 41.02. Like Dylan McDonald's out on track, so we can take a look at him for Joseph. Completing his first lap with a 40.91. That jumps him up to P6. I'm going to assume that we're going to get faster when we go to that second lap there. Here. Go a little bit faster. Makes his way through turn 4. Coming to the start-finish line. And he does. He jumps up to a 40.78. Good enough for P2 on the board right now. Greg Wood Jr. completed his first lap with a 41.01. Running that high line, trying to get as much speed as he can out of that 78 Pulse Graphics Toyota. He jumps up to P7 with a 40.90. George Jewell with a 41 flat. Ricky Gonzalez, a 41.07 on his first lap. Like Greg Wood Jr. is about ready to complete his third lap here. About the same as last time. Ricky Gonzalez jumped up with a 40.83 that last time by. Like everybody's pretty much qualified. Gonzalez going to finish it out his laps here. Last one on track. Does that time 40.85, so did not improve, went down a couple thousandths of a second, but Angel Santiago out on track, going to complete his first lap as he slides up towards the wall there. Drops down, tries to use as much of that racetrack as he can. Get a good time. Got a 41.16 that time. Does have a couple more laps to get through here. Once again, if you are on YouTube or Facebook, hit that like, hit the subscribe, turn on bell notifications. We do this basically 7 nights a week, multiple times as well. If you were on the channel last night, you were treated to a little dirt track action. One of our new leagues is hopped on there, so every Thursday night you will get to see a little dirt track racing here on Sim Racing Media. Santiago finishing up lap 2 here. He went a little bit slower that time, so doesn't look like he's gonna have that top end speed to get towards the front here. We are going 100 laps. I do have four sets of tires, 1 to start the race and 3 laying in the pits. So tire wear, tire management will definitely be a plus when they get towards the end of the race with one of those late race pit stops. See if Santiago's going to go any faster this time by. And he does. That time he got a 40.87. Jumps him all the way up to 6th quickest. So everybody has qualified. We have a field of 20. But Blake Howell once again takes the pole. So we'll see if that carries over. While they're getting ready, the team standings, pretty much a 3-team race. We got Pulse Graphics, then you got SMMR 64 back, and Titletown Racing 65 back. Everybody else is over 400. But that is the way that it is set up right now. And then all right, let's grid up here. So Blake Howell on the pole. Dylan McDonald outside row 1. Ricky Gonzalez, Austin Missler, Nolan Pompriand, Angel Santiago in 6th. Row 4, James McCaney, David Mazeppa. Row 5, Greg Wood Jr., Mark Parkhurst. Then you go back to Ira Kohlhaas and Wes Fuller. And we've got Zach Woods and George Jewell in row 7. Row 8 is Jonathan Cogswell and John McIntyre. 17th is Kevin Gibney Jr., Josh Pomperand, Bill Sleep and David Mayo is going to start shotgun here. And that is the way we are set up. Like pace car lights are off, so we will be going green shortly here. Gonna try and get a interview there with Blake, but we're gonna go green pretty quick, so I'm not gonna bother him at the moment. But those are the two drivers you need to look for, is Parkhurst and Howell. So Blake Howell starting P1, Mark Parkhurst back in 9th. Those are the two racing for the Scratch and Claw tournament finale. So here we go. Blake Howell, Dylan McDonald on the front row. Both for Titletown Racing. Ricky Gonzalez also up there with Titletown. Pace car jumps down to the inside. Blake Howell will hit that Geico restart zone. And we are green flag racing. Blake Howell gets a pretty decent jump here. Looks like Greg Wood jumps down to the inside. He's going to pass on the bottom. Dylan McDonald is able to hang on that outside line. Angel Santiago looks 3 wide outside of Austin Missler and Ricky Gonzalez. As they start shaking up here, it looks like we got somebody that just ran into somebody else here. Looks like it was Zach Woods. He drops back to the back. Guys are starting to kind of sort themselves out a little bit. They're still almost 3 wide. Up front, we got Blake Howell and Ricky Gonzalez and Dylan McDonald side by side. Austin Missler just behind them. And then Santiago is getting a push from Pomprian, looks like. And then Greg Wood Jr. down on that inside lane. Blake Howell jumps down to the inside, like he's trying to run his dedicated line that made him get the pole here. But the fastest of the race last lap was Greg Wood Jr. with 40.89. As these guys kind of settle it down a little bit, looks like Pomprian jumps down to the outside. Like he had a run and did not want to get in the back of Angel Santiago there. James McCaney down on the inside of him. We are working our way through lap 3. Mark Parkhurst is currently back in 10th. Dave Mazepad down on that inside lane, going to try and pass the 20 of James McCaney. Looks like he is getting close, almost side by side with him. Who can have the better run coming off of the corner and down that backstretch. Mark Parkhurst jumps down in front of Mazepad and is trying to make his move towards the front. Just that rear quarter panel of Santiago. Side by side is Parkhurst and Santiago. Parkhurst goes down to the inside. Greg Wood Jr. is trying to make a pass on the 35 of Dylan McDonald. It looks like he will do that as the 8 of Ricky Gonzalez passes Blake Howell. They are 3 wide for second. Greg Wood Jr. gets out of shape and slides down towards the infield, is able to save it, and is back racing. We stay green, but that was a sketchy moment if you were riding with Greg Wood Jr. there. Ricky Gonzalez is out front. Blake Howell, Dylan McDonald side by side. Austin Missler behind them. And Nolan Pomperan making his way up towards the front. As they're 3 wide back towards the back here. Looks like Santiago is fading. Then we got Mazepin, Cogswell, George Jewell, all mixed up in this 4 or 5 car stack here. And the 29 of Ira Kohlhaas. Almost didn't recognize him out there in that green RJS Pepsi truck or car. Usually he's just rocking the regular Pepsi with the blue. Santiago's hooked up with Greg Wood Jr. Looks like they were trying to make it towards the front there. George Jewell down on the insides. Gonna pass both of them here. Biggest mover so far is Jonathan Cogswell. He's made his way up 7 positions from where he started and has that 27 Ford Roasted Jim's Coffee in the 8th position here. Just in front of him is Wes Fuller. Go back through the field a little bit. Got David Mazepin, James McCaney, Kevin Gibney Jr.'s hanging out towards the back. Josh Pomperan, John McIntyre, David Mayo, Phil Sleep, and Zach Woods. Zach Woods had a little trouble in the beginning of this race, but it looks like he's got it back going and is making his way around the track just fine at the moment. Ricky Gonzalez is leading the race. Blake Howell in second. Dylan McDonald in third. Guys starting to get lined up a little bit, see if they can maybe put a little bit of a gap in the field. Looks like Parker's got about a half-second lead on that 27 Ford of Jonathan Cogswell. Nobody is making their way really through the field at the moment. Everybody's kind of running their own line, spread out a little bit. We can take a quick rundown here through the field. Got Ricky Gonzalez, Blake Howell from Dixon, Tennessee. Like I said, Blake Howell, and then when we get back to him, you're going to want to keep an eye on Mark Parkhurst as well. Bill McDonald in the 35, Austin Missler in the 10. Got Nolan Pomperan, and just to his inside is Mark Parkhurst. That's the top 5-6 as they run on the track. Parkhurst is trying to get some track position because not only is he racing for the win here at Auto Club, but he is also racing Blake Howell for that mid-season tournament title. So definitely good to see these guys out here trying to put on a show. We'll jump back here to the biggest mover, Jonathan Cogswell, up 8 positions. George Jewell is up 6. Wes Fuller up 3. Santiago fell back a little ways. Like he had a little bit of trouble, but now he's making his way back towards the front as he jumps to the inside of Wes Fuller and is going to try and complete that pass as they come out of 4 here. They are still side by side, as is David Mazepin and Ira Kohlhaas there. Both of them trying to get a little position here on track. We are getting closer to that stage break. That is at lap 25. So these top 2, we've got about a 3/4 to second lead over the next 3 cars there, and the next 3 cars are spread out a little bit as Austin Missler's down to the bottom, Bill McDonald up high, and Mark Parkhurst just trying to find a spot to make his run. These guys are just running all over the place. Looks like Ricky Gonzalez and Blake Howell have kind of checked out a little bit. Dylan McDonald has a rear view mirror full of Mark Parkhurst. All right. Austin Missler trying to figure out a way to get past Parkhurst and McDonald. Like he's running the same line he's been running. You can see him stay about half a car length on that groove in the track there where the rubber sealant is. See Dylan McDonald going back and forth, up and down, trying to find a way to get a little bit more speed out of that 35 Chevy there. Does have a couple fans in the YouTube chat of Joseph McDonald and Kyla Hall. Once again, if you are in the YouTube chat, go ahead and tell me who you think will win either the tournament or the race here, or what you think might happen. While you're there, definitely hit that subscribe, turn on bell notifications. Same on Facebook. Go ahead and share, comment who you think's going to win. One thing I love about broadcasting these leagues, they have their fans that show out every week, and they're not afraid to say who they think's going to win or what have you, to try and get the drivers a little more screen time here. Phil McDonald is making a little more time. Angel Santiago and Nolan Pompergand are battling out here for like 7th position. Santiago's staying high into the wall, bounces off, gets into the rear bumper of Pompergand. They stay going the right direction, but that allows Greg Wood Jr. to get to the inside of Santiago and Pompergand. Gonna make that pass. Looks like Santiago just got a little bit out of shape there. But he was able to save it, and Pompergand as well. Did lose a couple positions, but they're still driving in the same direction. We are going through lap 17 here. We are getting closer to that stage break. That does come at lap 25. Blake Howell was able to take the lead here as they're battling side by side up front, Ricky Gonzalez and Blake Howell. Blake Howell staying down right on that white line, floats up in front of Ricky Gonzalez. Ricky Gonzalez gets behind him like he's gonna dive down to the inside as they come down the backstretch. And he's going to try and complete that pass. Coming out of like 4 here. Will he do it? Not quite clear, but he's going to lead the lap. Gets clear just as they come to the start-finish line. And right behind Blake Howell now is Mark Parkhurst. The Parkhurst was able to make his way around Missler and Jewell and McDonald. Now has his sights set on Blake Howell. With Blake Howell and Ricky Gonzalez racing each other there, it has definitely brought that other pack back towards them. Geary is cheering for Blake Howell. Blake Howell currently sitting in 2nd place and leading the tournament. Has to beat Mark Parkhurst here. Austin Missler, George Jewell, Dylan McDonald. Dylan McDonald's fallen off just a little bit here. But they have 5 laps until they get to that stage break. And I bet sorry about that. I bet everybody hits pit lane and gets those tires. We'll see who's able to maybe save a little bit of those tires, or how they wear once they get to that through the second 50 laps here, because I do have a break at 25 and at 50, and then I have to run to the end. Well, see if it's going to come down to a late race pit strategy in order to get have the fresh tires on and make your way to the end. But right now, completing lap 21, Ricky Gonzalez, Blake Howell, Mark Parkhurst, Austin Missler, and George Jewell round out the top 5. Back through the field, it looks like we have a little bit of action between McIntyre and Jonathan Cogswell. Cogswell was up towards the front, but has fallen off a little bit here as he makes his way through lap 21. That's relatively the closest battle we have on the track. We got Gibney Jr. here and Nolan Pomperand. Not too much, really. Up front, we have 0.3 of a second. Ricky Gonzalez. Blake Howell dives down to the inside. Going to try and make a pass. He really wants to win this stage. I wasn't here last week, so I don't know how the race shape played out last week, but the week before he won every stage and the race, so like he's trying to do it again here, but he's trying to figure out a way to get past Ricky Gonzalez, because they both seem to be running just about the same line, making their way through turn 2 and down that backstretch. We'll see if Blake Howell is just going to be content on sitting in second as they go to complete lap 24 here, or if he's going to get a little bit more racy and try and get that stage victory. He is right on the back bumper of Ricky Gonzalez there. Ricky Gonzalez goes high. Blake Howell stays low, but Gonzalez has about a 0.2 of a second lead at the moment. So we'll see if that's the way it's going to finish. As we come down the backstretch for the last time in this stage. Blake Howell dives down to the inside. He's going to try and keep it low and see if he can make this pass stick, or if Ricky Gonzalez is going to have a little bit more drive off as Ricky Gonzalez hits the wall, which is going to allow Blake Howell, I believe. Yeah, Blake Howell is going to win this stage. Blake Howell, Ricky Gonzalez, Austin Missler, George Jewell, Dylan McDonald, Mark Parkhurst, Greg Wood Jr., David Mazepin, Angel Santiago, and Ira Kohlhaas are the top 10. So our biggest mover of the race is actually 07 of George Jewell. He's got that NOS Chevy dialed in. He is up 10 positions from where he started currently in P4. Let these guys get through towards their pit stops here, and then we will grab a hold of the stage winner, Blake Howell. As we look at guys coming to the caution, some history here. Kevin Harvick holds the fastest qualifying time of a 38.147 from 2018. Fastest race here, 400 miles not rain shortened by Alex Bowman in 2020. 2 hours and 37 minutes. Guys come down and make their pit stops. I'll see if we can go ahead and grab Blake Howell. Hey Blake, Mike up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir, I do.
Hey man, awesome run there. Started on the pole. Basically hung out behind Ricky Gonzalez for a little bit and then was able to take advantage of a little mistake he had and win that stage. Congrats on that. How's the car and track handling out there tonight?
Very tight car. Really just off the throttle throughout 3/4 of every corner. Or just to even make the corner. Just washing up multiple lanes if you don't, but it drives all right. It could be better, but it's fun. Having a good time. The starting on pole definitely helped, not really in dirty air as much as I guess didn't want to be, but
definitely. Well, congrats on your stage win. I'm assuming it's going to be the same strategy for stage 2 here and then figure out the race to the end there.
Yes, sir.
All right, well, I will get you back to your channel and good luck on this next stage.
All right, thank you.
And that was the pole qualifier and stage winner of Blake Howell there. But he is going to be starting in row 2 as Ricky Gonzalez and Austin Missler had a little bit faster pit stops. It looks like everybody took 4 tires and got it full of fuel. But Ricky Gonzalez is going to have the button. Pace lights are out. And we do have Blake Howell and Mark Parkhurst side by side for the start of stage 2. They're also racing for that, like I said, that mid-season tournament championship. Pace car should be ducking in shortly. They make their way through turn number 4. Pace car is in. Ricky Gonzalez has the button. Gets to that Geico restart zone, and he is down and away about halfway through. Blake Howell is trying to catch up as Ricky Gonzalez jumps up to the high side. Austin Missler is staying out there as well. Blake Howell, Austin Missler side by side for that second position. Mark Parkhurst back and forth, not really trying to push the issue at the moment, but it looks like Blake Howell is kind of stuck down there in no man's land. You have Greg Wood Jr. going high, Mark Parker stuck in the middle, Kevin Gibney Jr., Ira Kohlhaas 3 wide just behind position 4 as Mark Parker sticks his nose in there and tries to make it 3 wide with Blake Howell and Austin Missler on the high side. Mark Parkhurst is able to do it. Greg Wood Jr. making his way through there as well, following the hole that Parkhurst just punched through there. Gets down right behind Parkhurst. Greg Wood Jr. is looking for a little bit more. Not quite going to be able to get it. Blake Howell is able to jump in line. And they are getting racy up here up front. Ricky Gonzalez, Greg Wood Jr., Mark Parkhurst, Blake Howell, and Austin Missler. Side by side for position 2 and 4. Looks like Kevin Gibney Jr. down to the inside is going to try and make it 3 wide with Blake Howell and Austin Missler. Greg Wood Jr. is able to take advantage and come through to inherit the lead. Like he's going to clear off in front of Ricky Gonzalez and make that pass. Mark Parkhurst drops down to the inside of Gonzalez. He's going to pass him as well. Hook up with teammate Greg Wood Jr. there and see if they can put a little gap on the field here as well. I saw it work a little bit earlier with Howell and Gonzalez. Ricky Gonzalez split the teammates there and is trying to take the lead back as he dives down to the inside of Greg Wood Jr. Wood Jr. high, Gonzalez low. Parkhurst is behind Gonzalez with Blake Howell all over his back bumper. Dylan McDonald's back there as well. Jumps out to the high side, gets behind Austin Missler. As these guys work through the corners, just remember what Blake Howell was talking about when we just interviewed him there a little bit ago, that they keep washing up multiple lanes if they're not careful and getting off that throttle. And with how close these guys have been racing, it's not going to take too much for them to slide up into each other and bring out that big one. Kevin Gibney Jr. is all over the back bumper of Blake Howell here, trying to give him a little shove. Greg Wood Jr. still leading the race, but not by much. Kevin Gibney Jr. down to the inside, gets sideways. Blake Howell stays going straight. Looks like Kevin Gibney Jr. got into the inside wall. Go ahead and jump back and take a look at that real quick. Yeah, you can see just gets to the inside of Blake Howell and just winds up getting hooked, and around in the wall he goes. Down off the racing surface, so we're staying green. Like I said, these guys are getting a little racy here up front and bouncing around. Ricky Gonzalez is out to a quarter of a second lead over Greg Wood Jr. Austin Missler behind him. Dylan McDonald down on the inside. Dave Mazpa on the outside. Mark Parkhurst has now fallen back a little ways, is in P6 after making his way towards the front. Biggest mover right now is Wood Jr. here up in second. Ellen Fuller in the chat saying good luck guys from Mama Fuller, watching from the Grizzly Roads in Denver. Well, awesome. I'm just a few hours north of Denver. Be headed that way next week. Ricky Gonzalez out front. Greg Wood Jr. trying to close in. Dave Mazepin's making his way up. He's up 2 positions from where he qualified. He's putting in a heck of a run this week. Looks like Mark Parker's just going backwards a little bit. Ira Kohlhaas is up 4 positions. George Jewell behind him is up 6. Guys are just battling it out up here. And as we get going here, they're racing all over this track. Go back a little ways in the field and check on our pole setter and stage winner Blake Howell back here. Looks like Santiago is to his outside, going to try and make the pass as they're side by side. Wes Fuller back there in 11th. Zach Woods is up to P12 after early race trouble. Dylan Palperan is down 8 after the stage and spending extra time in the pits. I'd like to get that that car repaired. Sean McIntyre, Jonathan Cogswell had a rocket ship earlier, but now it looks like he's staying back trying to save a little tires. David Mayo, James McCaney, Bill Sleep, Josh Pomperan, and after the hitting the inside wall, Kevin Gibney Jr. is back in 20th. But up front, Ricky Gonzalez is leading. Bill McDonald and Greg Wood Jr. side by side, trying to stay off of each other as Greg Wood Jr. floats up almost to the wall. Into Dylan McDonald, side by side they go. Austin Missler gets caught in it. David Mazepin back across the track. And luckily nobody, I was going to say nobody gets hit, but David Mazepin slides down and gets hit by John McIntyre. We'll go back and take a look at that. All right, let's look here. All right. Here. Will he come off? Dylan McDonald got a little loose. Greg Wood Jr. jumped up towards the wall and just was coming down the track. It's turned sideways. Austin Missler nowhere to go. Back here. Nowhere to go. Gets checked up. Starts sliding down the track. Barely clips Mazepin there. And around he goes into the wall. See him bounce down. And as they're coming through, Angel Santiago. Just take a look here on the gyro here. Look at what he sees. He sees Dylan McDonald coming back down the track. David Mazepin as well. He is just able to get through it just barely. So that is going to shake up the field a little bit here as we're working on lap 41. Ricky Gonzalez, Mark Parker, George Joel, Ira Kohlhaas, and Angel Santiago are the top 5. Blake Howell is up to P6. Zach Woods made it through and is up to P7. Nolan Palperan, P8. Jonathan Cogswell, 8th. David Mayo, 10th. They will get back rolling here. Backed up. Like Ricky Gonzalez will pick his lane shortly. Lights are out on the pace car. So Ricky Gonzalez, Mark Parkhurst, row 1, George Joel, Ira Kohlhaas, row 2, row 3, Blake Howell and Angel Santiago, row 4, Nolan Palperan, and Zach Woods, row 5, David Mayo and Jonathan Cogswell. Kevin Gibney Jr., after making it through there, is up to P11. Bill Sleep will round out that part of the field. Looks like Mazepin and Missler are 13th, 14th, Greg Woods and 15th. John McIntyre's in 16th. Go back up front. Pace car should be diving off this time. They come through turn 3 and 4. So it is going to be basically an 8-lap sprint to the stage break. So as they come to the Geico restart zone, Ricky Gonzalez has the button and he is down and away. Jumps about halfway through that restart zone. Mark Parkhurst is still in that outside lane. Looks like George Jewell and Angel Santiago are staying low. George Jewell almost into the side of Ira Kohlhaas. Ira Kohlhaas has to check up a little bit and gets back into 7th, 8th position. Zach Woods is able to make that pass. Nolan Pomperand as well. Blake Howell down to the inside of George Jewell is going to try and make that pass as they come down the front stretch here. Not quite going to be able to do it. Angel Santiago's up to 3rd position. Mark Parker P2. Angel Santiago staying high. Parkhurst low. Looks like Ricky Gonzalez is running it relatively low through the corners. As it looks like Ira Kohlhaas just got a little bit out of shape coming off of 2 into that backstretch. Like I said, it was going to be a danger spot. They're still battling up front here. Looks like Greg Wood Jr. is up. UP6 here, Nolan Pomperand. Jonathan Cogswell. Then you got Zach Woods, Ira Kohlhaas, Kevin Gibney Jr., and Dylan McDonald. Behind them, it looks like you got Austin Missler and David Mazepin battling back and forth here as well. Almost 3 wide back there. Fastest lap of the race was that time by with Greg Wood Jr. running a 40.73. He is not wasting any time trying to get back up to the front. So you got Parker, Santiago, and Wood Jr. all battling for 2 through 4. George Jewell sitting in P5, up 9 positions. Santiago stays high. Greg Wood Jr. stays low and gets right to the bumper of Ricky Gonzalez. Side by side, they go down the backstretch. Mark Parkhurst jumps out and is going to try and give Greg Wood Jr. a little push there. Looks like he got a little bit loose and started floating up the track just a little bit, but Greg Wood Jr. is leading the race right now. Ricky Gonzalez in second. Behind him is Parkhurst and Santiago side by side. And you got George Jewell and Blake Howell. Side by side for 3rd, 4th. Then 5th and 6th as well are just getting pretty close. Mark Parkhurst and Blake Howell have found each other on the track. They are racing for that mid-season tourney. We're completing lap 47 now. We got a couple more laps to go in this stage. And Greg Wood Jr. has busted it open here. He is over a half-second lead on Ricky Gonzalez. Angel Santiago and George Jewell are battling out back here as well with Parkhurst and Howell. David Mazepin just coming off of pit lane. You see him down on that inside lane. George Jewell jumps up in front of Blake Howell. Blake Howell dives down to the inside. He's going to try and make that pass on him. And see if maybe he can get Parkhurst or Santiago as well. Like he doesn't quite have enough to get that done. Oh, Blake Howell just was able to complete that pass right then. Santiago and Parkhurst side by side. Santiago jumps up in front of Parkhurst, is able to hold him off there. And see if they're going to be able to get to Ricky Gonzalez. Greg Wood Jr. has basically checked out. Going to complete lap 49, and we will work on lap 50 for the stage break. Greg Wood Jr. seems to almost have this locked up. Ricky Gonzalez in second, Mark Parkhurst, Angel Santiago in third and fourth, Blake Howell in fifth, and George Jewell sixth. So we'll see how this turns out here shortly. Coming down the backstretch, Greg Wood Jr. is leading this stage. Ricky Gonzalez looks to be well in control of second. I think we'll have Santiago and Blake Howell battle it out for position 4. And George Jewell's trying to get in there as well. As they make their way through, looks like it might have been Santiago, but it's going to be close. Greg Wood Jr. wins the stage. Ricky Gonzalez in second. Mark Parkhurst in third. Santiago or Howell in fourth, fifth. George Jewell in sixth. Jonathan Cogswell in eighth. Nolan Pomperan in eighth. Ira Haas in ninth. And Wes Fuller able to bring home some stage points there in P10. Well, like I said before, we'll get them through their pit stops, and then we'll see if we can get a hold of Greg Wood Jr. here and see how he's liking the track and maybe what strategy he's going to employ here in order to make it to the end. Like we do have a couple guys that pitted on lap 40, so David Mazepov pitted on lap 46. I imagine he's going to try and stay out and get his lap back. Like everybody's going to have to pit at least one more time. We'll see how they have to pit. Make their way down pit lane. We have completed 52 laps of the scheduled 100. This is the last race before these guys take a little bit of a break here. Before they come back. They'll come back, and on the 28th, they'll head to Atlanta. Get Greg Wood. Hey, Greg, Mike up in the booth. You got a copy?
Sure do, sir.
Hey, man, heck of a run to come back after that little bit of damage there and back of the pack, but you're able to work your way through the field and win that stage. How's that track and car working tonight?
All these cars are like giant freaking plow trucks. I mean, the cars are so tight, it's insane. But yeah, I mean, I'm a tire set behind on these guys now, but that's the only way I was able to drive through the field like that. I had fresh tires on everybody.
That's kind of what I was wondering, because you were making some time there. So
yeah.
So without the tires, I guess you should have one more set, right?
Yep, I got one more set left.
Yeah, so You obviously can't make it on fuel, so same strategy about halfway and see what happens, or are you going to try and push it a little farther?
We'll see what happens. I pitted with everybody, of course, and got on the same fuel strategy, but I still have probably about 6 or 7 lap older tires.
Well, I will let you get back to racing here, Greg, and maybe I'll talk to you at the end.
Let's hope.
All right, so talked to 2 drivers after both those stages, and both of them said the same basic thing, that they're just out there plowing, floating up the track. You know, basically a big block of air out there. We'll see what happens here. Looks like Greg Wood Jr. is going to be able to have the button and have control of this restart. Mark Parkhurst just to his outside. Ricky Gonzalez, Blake Howell in row 2. Kevin Gibney Jr., Angel Santiago in row 3. Ira Kohlhaas and George Jewell in row 4. Row 5, David Mayo and Austin Missler. Go back up to the front. Pace car will be diving in here in a couple seconds. And we will get back to green flag racing. Greg Wood Jr. making his way to the Geico restart zone. Down and away. So he will be able to get that lead and keep it. Jumps up in front of Mark Parkhurst. Angel Santiago dives down to the inside, as does Parkhurst there. Now Parkhurst is looking for the lead. Blake Howell's making some ground in that outside lane. Looks like he's going to try and dive down to the inside of Greg Wood Jr. there and make this pass. Like he's also going to try and get to Mark Parkhurst there. Not quite enough room there, but he is able to clear Greg Wood Jr. Mark Parkhurst floats up the track a little bit. Blake Howell steers down towards the bottom. Ricky Gonzalez basically sitting behind them, hoping nothing bad happens. Angel Santiago back in 5th. Ira Kohlhaas and Austin Missler 6th and 7th. George Jewell 8th. John McIntyre. See Dylan McDonald dive from the bottom to the top, trying to make his way up here. Zach Woods working his way back up to the top 10. David Mayo up 8. Kevin Gibney Jr. up 4. Bill Sleep up 5. Wes Fuller, Jonathan Cogswell. Blake Howell still leading this race now. Mark Parkhurst is side by side with Ricky Gonzalez. Greg Wood Jr. is fallen back a little bit right in front of Austin Missler. Angel Santiago just to the inside of Missler. George Jewell and Ira Kohlhaas side by side back there in 8th and 9th. So as these guys are starting to settle it down a little bit here, I'm going to go ahead and step aside for a moment, pay some bills. You guys won't miss a thing. As always, I will go side by side. Let's get if you're in the YouTube chat. Tell me who you're rooting for, what you think might happen. I mean, these two battling up front here, Parkhurst and Howell. Looks like Ricky Gonzalez hooks Mark Parkhurst. Mark Parkhurst goes into the wall, but is able to save it, and they stay green. But that just put a huge deficit for Mark Parkhurst and Blake Howell. And Ricky Gonzalez is able to stay going forward and stay in position 2. George Jewell in 3rd, Austin Missler 4th, Greg Wood Jr. And behind them we got Santiago, Parkhurst, Kohlhaas, and John McIntyre, as well as Dylan McDonald. And it looks like Zach Woods is closing in as well. So after that's over, I'm going to go ahead and step side by side. Won't miss a thing. I'll be right back shortly. All right, welcome back, everybody. Like I said, you did not miss a thing. Looks like Ricky Gonzalez is still out front. Blake Howell in second, George Jewell, Austin Missler. Then you come back to this big quagmire of a group with Angel Santiago, Mark Parker, Zach Woods, Dylan McDonald, Ira Kohlhaas, Jonathan Cogswell, Greg Wood Jr., John McIntyre, and David Mayo. They're just racing all over each other, and it looks like Greg Wood Jr., those fresh tires must have been everything to him as he made his way towards the front. And now he has fallen back just to the outside of David Mayo. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens when they decide to come take tires. Are you going to stay out for as long as you can, or are you going to come in, try and get some fresh rubber a little bit earlier to try and make that gap work? Of course, everything goes out the window if we have one of those announcer curse things that I'm talking about. But for now, Ricky Gonzalez, Blake Howell, George Jewell, Austin Missler are battling out first through fourth. Angel Santiago is able to put a little bit of gap on this group behind him, led by Mark Parkhurst and Dylan McDonald. Zach Woods and Jonathan Cogswell are moving up here as well. Dylan McDonald down to the inside of Parkhurst is going to try and make that pass and get up into sixth position. Dylan McDonald and Parkhurst side by side battling it out as well. Parkhurst gets a little bit better run off, but McDonald gets a little bit better run in. So as they stand right now, they start ducking in. Like John McIntyre is the one stuck on the bottom lane all by himself, just to the inside of Ira Kohlhaas and Jonathan Cogswell. They line up for just a little bit and then they split back up. Looks like we have a battle for the lead up front between George Jewell and Ricky Gonzalez. George Jewell on the outside, Gonzalez on the inside. Gonzalez gets a little bit better run off on that bottom lane, but George Jewell dives down to the inside. Is going to try and keep that lane and make the pass as Blake Howell and that Red Duck Comics 26 Ford is going to try and make a pass as well. Side by side, looks like they almost touched, which might give Blake Howell a chance, as Blake Howell and Austin Missler almost touch as well. These guys are sliding up the track like crazy here. I would really expect not too much less with how flat this track is. It is one of the flatter tracks that is on the NASCAR circuit. George Jewell is able to clear and get in front of Ricky Gonzalez. Ricky Gonzalez dives back down to the inside. He's going to try and make the pass on him again, but jumps into the back behind him, jumps down low, and gets a little bit better run. Looks like he might be able to clear him. Not quite. As they come out of four, they're still side by side. Ricky Gonzalez floats up behind George Jewell. George Jewell is able to keep that lead. So we got George Jewell, Ricky Gonzalez, Blake Howell, and Austin Missler battling it out here. George Jewell got a little bit better run that time, as Ricky Gonzalez and Blake Howell are side by side battling behind him. Which that's kind of what Angel Santiago wants to see as he's trying to close in here. Dylan McDonald was able to get past Mark Parkhurst, but Parkhurst is not going away that easy. Zach Woods is also down on the inside with Ira Kohlhaas right behind him, as they are 3 wide. Everybody's trying to avoid touching everybody or sliding up at all, as Ira Kohlhaas is clear down on the apron. Dylan McDonald went from the apron almost clear up to the wall, and now he's coming back down again. They're battling it out here. Parkhurst, Woods, and Kohlhaas. You have Jonathan Cogswell sitting right behind them, and John McIntyre's back there as well. But up front, George Jewell is able to get almost a half-second lead over Ricky Gonzalez, Austin Missler, and Blake Howell. Santiago has closed that gap into less than a second now. And he has over a second and a half back to that next pack of Dylan McDonald, Ira Kohlhaas, Zach Woods, Mark Parkhurst, and Jonathan Cogswell. I think Ira Kohlhaas is going to try and get right to that back bumper of Dylan McDonald, dive down to the inside and try and make a pass before they get out of turn 4. Doesn't quite get enough of that draft to suck him up right to his back bumper. But George Jewell is leading the race here. Ricky Gonzalez and Austin Missler side by side battling out for second and third. Like Gonzalez is able to keep that position. Missler's not going away though. He is staying right with him. Go ahead and maybe do a little bit of up segment. Tights and stuff. That was a little sights and sounds here of the track. George Jewell is working really hard here. He's up 13 positions. Has that 07 Chevy on the lead. But Ricky Gonzalez is closing in ever so slightly here. Blake Howell's able to get past Austin Missler. But look who's closed the gap. Angel Santiago has sucked up almost to the back of Austin Missler here and is working his way towards this top 4. Dylan McDonald is leading the second group. They're not making too much time. We got 26 laps to go in this race. Ira Kohlhaas just behind him, John McIntyre and Mark Parkhurst. Mark Parkhurst has got to be hoping for something to happen or have some sort of pit strategy up his sleeve in order to take advantage and make and get to Blake Howell. Otherwise, the mid-season tourney is going to be over. It looks like Wes Fuller is the first one to blink and heads down pit road right now. Looks like these leaders are still staying out for the moment. George Jewell, Ricky Gonzalez, Blake Howell, Austin Missler, Angel Santiago. Looks like Jonathan Cogswell's in for pit as well. As they spread out here. Blake Howell, Ricky Gonzalez split and go high and low. Austin Missler sat there almost in the middle. Didn't really make up any ground, didn't really lose any either. As Santiago dives down to the inside of Missler. Looks like he's going to try and see if he's going to be able to pass him coming out of the corners. Ran a little bit different line, see if he can get a little bit more speed out of that car. See who else is going to blink first. We know they can make it from here on fuel. Everybody seems to have a couple sets of tires left, except for Greg Wood Jr. Like we'll have a couple guys come into pit lane this time by. Looks like Austin Missler is diving in. Angel Santiago in. Ira Cohos in. Zach Woods in. George Joel still leading the race at the moment, but Blake Howell is closing in pretty quickly here. Oh, almost touching there. We'll see if George Joel and Blake Howell and Ricky Gonzalez head to pits yet, or if they're going to stay out. Looks like Blake Howell is probably headed to the pits. George Joel, and Ricky Gonzalez. Looks like John McIntyre is staying out. Mark Parkhurst is staying out as well. See if David Mayo stays out. Yes. Wes Fuller last pitted on lap 53. Made 4 pit stops. Bill Sleep. I think Bill Sleep is headed maybe to pit lane. Yeah, he's going to pit lane. So as they race on track, John McIntyre, Mark Parkhurst, David Mayo, Wes Fuller are 1, 2, 3, 4. They have not pitted yet. They last pitted on lap 52, 53. Kevin Gibney Jr. is in 5th. Last pitted on lap 52. Last car on the lead lap at the moment is Jonathan Cogswell here. So he's just in front of McIntyre and Parkhurst. We'll give a rundown as soon as we get everybody to cycle through their pit stops here. McIntyre is the leader. Parkhurst is in second. As McIntyre heads to pit lane, Mark Parkhurst is staying out. We'll see if that strategy is going to work for Mark here. He's got almost a 40-second lead on Blake Howell at the moment. Last pit time for pit lane time for Parker, so it was 51 seconds. So he is losing time here. The longer he stays out, that gap is going smaller and smaller. Like he is going to pit this time by. So that is going to hand the lead over to Wes Fuller, unless Wes Fuller comes to pit lane this time as well. See what he's electing to do here, and he's staying out. So we'll see if he's going to not quite lead that lap. He'll have to stay out one more in order to lead the lap. As Mark Parkhurst made it past the start-finish line before Wes Fuller did. The 62 of Bill Sleeps on fresher tires and trying to get one of his, looks like one of his laps back, the one lap back the hard way here. So he'll be back on the lead lap. And it looks like he is still gonna stay out back here and take a look at Cogswell and Santiago and Howell. These guys are on fresher tires, so it's going to be a little bit different than they were driving on those used the older ones that had 25, almost 30 laps on them. Especially with this green flag when you want to get out and keep running as fast as you can. George Jewell just ran the fastest lap of the race with a 40.71. So he has been lightning quick out here. As Wes Fuller heads to pit lane this time, which will leave Kevin Gibney Jr. as the only car out there who has not pitted as he comes to pit lane. Austin Missler is going to take over the lead. Ricky Gonzalez, George Jewell right behind him. So as they work their way through this track, we will see what we can get a rundown of the field after everybody's completed their pit stops here. Austin Missler running P1 has about 0.6 of a second lead. Ricky Gonzalez in P2. George Jewell up 11 positions, sitting in P3. Blake Howell P4. Jonathan Cogswell P5, up 10 positions. Angel Santiago in P6. Ira Kohlhaas P7. Zach Woods P8. John McIntyre P9. Mark Parkhurst is P10. David Mayo 11th. David Mazeppa 12th. Bill Sleep 13th. Kevin Gibney Jr. 14th. Greg Wood Jr. 15th. Dylan McDonald 16th. Wes Fuller in 17th, and James McCaney in 18th. We've got Nolan Pomperand and Josh Pomperand both threw it on the hauler after a few laps here. But back up front, it's Austin Missler and Ricky Gonzalez. They were battling it out for position 3 and 4 earlier in the race. Now they're sitting 1 and 2. George Jewell is closing the gap. He's running a little bit faster times than both Missler and Gonzalez. He's been one of the faster cars on the racetrack tonight. It looks like Angel Santiago's back in 4th after he made the pass on Jonathan Cogswell. Blake Howell got to be trying to figure out how he can get back up towards the front. He's lost over 2 seconds on that lead pack there. Looks like he's losing more time as they're going through here. Unless Blake Howell is planning on saving tires and being able to have a little bit better tires towards the end of the race without losing too much time. Once again, thanks everybody for joining us on YouTube and Facebook. Go ahead and hit that subscribe, turn on bell notifications. Won't want to miss anything that happens here on Sim Racing Media. I might even have some special broadcast, special entertainment or something next weekend. As Ricky Gonzalez makes that pass on Austin Missler, George Jewell also makes it through there as well. George Jewell is looking for more though. He's within 1/10 of a second of Ricky Gonzalez. We saw what happened as soon as the car he was driving got out to that fresh air. He was able to put a little bit of gap on the field. I imagine that's what Ricky Gonzalez does not want to see here, but with 11 laps to go, Ricky Gonzalez is driving all over the track. Driving up high, driving down low, trying to see if he can get any speed left out of that car. Blake Howell has reeled in a little bit of time here on that lead pack. They are now under 2 seconds. Angel Santiago sitting P5. Trying to get a little bit more ground to catch back up to that front four. Ricky Gonzalez is trying to block all over that track. George Jewell dives down to the inside. They touch. George Jewell and Ricky Gonzalez, they both stay going straight. They did touch, but not enough to cause either of them to go bouncing into the inside or outside wall. You guys are just hard racing side by side. Heard from Blake Howell and Greg Wood Jr. how they just kind of slide up the racetrack a little bit on these corners. The corners are relatively flat, and the front and back straight, or the back straight is only banked to like 3 degrees, so it is way flat compared to some of the others. George Jewell and Ricky Gonzalez still side by side, touching, battling it out, back and forth, bumping each other. Austin Missler is just trying to avoid them if there is any sort of wreck that's gonna happen, as George Jewell had to back off after brushing Gonzalez there for a little while. Austin Missler just gets loose, crazy loose, as he came off of 4 coming to that front stretch. We're back in the field here, see if we can see a little bit more action here. John McIntyre, Mark Parkhurst are battling a little bit, but everybody else is pretty well sorted out. With 8 laps to go, it's going to be a matter of who's going to win this race between Ricky Gonzalez, George Jewell, Austin Missler at the moment. Seven laps to go. Ricky Gonzalez floats a little high. George Jewell down to the inside. It's a little bit of a run, but I don't think he's going to have enough to get side by side again as they come out of the corner, unless Ricky Gonzalez slows up a little bit, and they touch again. Side by side they go, using each other to help turn. Touch again on the front stretch here. George Jewell is able to make that pass. George Jewell, Ricky Gonzalez battling out up front. Side by side. Ricky Gonzalez down to the inside. George Jewell stays high. Austin Missler is sitting back there waiting to pounce. George Jewell's now out to about 0.2 of a second lead. Austin Missler's closing in ever so slightly as well. Ricky Gonzalez is going to try and go down to the inside, back to the outside. George Jewell stays low. Going to try and clear off of 4 here, or 2 here, going down the backstretch, and he does. Austin Missler's getting right to that back bumper of Ricky Gonzalez. Just doesn't quite have enough to get around him. Ricky Gonzalez down to the inside. George Jewell stays about mid-pack. Side by side they go down the front stretch. 5 laps to go. Give that lap to Ricky Gonzalez. George Jewell's up high. Ricky Gonzalez down low. Roles are reversed. Ricky Gonzalez slides up in front of George Jewell. Jewell stays right with him, right on his rear bumper, not giving him an inch. Dives down to the inside, gonna see if he can cross him over as they come into the corner. They both stay pretty close together. Austin Missler's looking to pounce as they come out of 4. Ricky Gonzalez jumps down to block Jewell. Austin Missler's making his run on that high side. George Jewell, Austin Missler, Ricky Gonzalez. Ricky Gonzalez is able to get a little bit of an advantage there as George Jewell slides up in front of Austin Missler. Austin Missler dives down to the inside to avoid George Jewell. Gets in front of Jewell, and we have 3 laps to go. Ricky Gonzalez is the leader, out by almost 0.3 of a second. We'll see if Austin Missler or George Jewell has anything left for him in order to make a run on Ricky Gonzalez. 2 laps to go. Ricky Gonzalez, Austin Missler, George Jewell. Back behind them is Angel Santiago, Blake Howell at the lap car of Kevin Gibney Jr. there. Blake Howell trying to make his way around the lap car of Gibney Jr. Final lap. Ricky Gonzalez, George Jewell, Austin Missler. Top 3 battling out side by side. Ricky Gonzalez out front, but just behind him battling for second place. George Jewell, Austin Missler. Jewell to the inside, Missler on the outside. Down the backstretch they go. Into turn 3. George Jewell has a little bit of an advantage. Side by side they go, coming out of 4. Ricky Gonzalez is gonna win. Ooh, looks like Austin Missler might have just barely beat out George Jewell. Angel Santiago in 4th, Blake Howell in 5th, Ira Kohlhaas in 6th, Mark Parker 7th, John McIntyre 8th, Jonathan Cogswell 9th, Zach Woods brings home P10, David Mayo, Bill Sleep, David Mazepah, Kevin Gibney Jr. So, Ricky Gonzalez wins the race. Blake Howell wins the Scratch and Claw mid-season tourney by 2 positions over Mark Parkhurst. So while we got a minute here, let's see if we can get George Jewell up here. Hey George, Mike up in the booth, got a copy?
I do, sir. How you doing?
Oh, not too bad. Heck of a race there, side by side for the last like 10 laps, door to door. I mean, heck of a battle there. Still were able to come home up 11 positions, finish P3.
Yeah, very happy with it. Found a setup that worked. That was some really good racing there at the end, banging doors, and we all wanted it. Well, Ricky earned it this time, and it was a good race.
Definitely was. What was able to get you those 11 positions and were able to keep you out front? You were running basically the fastest laps of the race that I was watching here.
I found a line that seemed to work. It was easy in and just hard over and get on it and go. And for some reason the car it stuck, and it was I'm very happy. So I'm very happy for a top 3 finish and finally get to chit chat with you guys.
Definitely. Well, congrats on your P3. Anybody want to thank on that car?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Pulse Graphics for the design, NOS Energy, you guys up in the booth for doing all this. We really appreciate it, and I thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, George.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Let's see if we can get our second place finisher here. Hey, Austin, Mike up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I do.
Hey, man, heck of a run there. Looks like you were kind of sitting back there in P3 hoping that Ricky and George kind of took themselves out and you'd just be there to pounce. But heck of a race the last, 15 or so laps.
Yeah, it was a great race between all three of us. They got together a couple times. I didn't want to take it 3 wide on the inside because I was getting too tight down there. So I really liked the outside, trying to get a lot of momentum down the straightaways. But it was great, clean racing up front, and all I could ask for, really.
Definitely, man. Heck of a run. Sorry about last week knocking you out of that tournament, but P2 here, heading into the bye week before you head to Atlanta. Any thoughts on going to the new Atlanta?
It should be interesting, being kind of a super speedway race. I haven't really ran there much myself, so it'll be an interesting race for me, just getting to learn it and everything. Probably worked pretty good with my teammates like we did at Dega, and we finished 1, 2, 3 there, so hopefully we can do it again at Atlanta.
Awesome. Anybody want to thank on that car tonight?
My team, SMMR, we had a pretty good day. Ira finishing 6th, Jonathan got 9th, and they were kind of struggling in the beginning, but luckily they got some speed there towards the end and probably played some pit strategy. I think Jonathan pitted earlier than I did, and I pitted earlier than the guys in front of me, so pit strategy worked out pretty well for us today, and luckily it stayed green, and it was a lot of fun racing.
Definitely. Well, congrats again on P2, and maybe I'll talk to you in a couple weeks.
Thank you very much. Hopefully we will.
Hey, Ricky, Mike up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. I got a copy.
Hey, man, heck of a race there. You were able to bring home the win after that hard-fought, last 15 or so laps, door to door, back and forth between you and George Jewell and Austin Missler as well. Any thoughts on the last part of the race?
Yeah, it was kind of hectic. Me and George were battling pretty hard. We were dooring each other and all that stuff. So I knew we had a breakaway with the guys behind us, and so I was just hoping if we didn't wreck each other, all three of us were going to be in the podium spot, either way. So we were destined to do that. But luckily something happened. I was mid corner and I coming off the corner and I looked up. And those two guys, I gapped them pretty well. So I was wondering, like, something happened. I don't know what happened. Possibly got arrow tight or something like that. But yeah, came home with a win. We won earlier at Michigan in a similar track. So maybe these D-shaped 2-mile tracks, suit the driving style. So yeah, lucky to get another win. But it doesn't feel like I won. Just want everybody to know, like, I don't race dirty and I don't do any of that stuff. There's a lot of aggressive drivers here now, and I'm certainly not one of them. I try not to be. I try to race people super clean, but the incident with me in the 4, I feel bad. Mark races me clean all year long. I didn't mean to do that. Didn't mean to turn him or do any of that stuff. I think it was just a side draft gone wrong. And I'll take 100% of the blame on that. But yeah, it definitely, I know we won, but it doesn't feel like a win for sure.
Definitely, I saw that. Saw that a little bit, but congrats anyway. Anybody want to thank on that Texas Tech number 8 Chevy?
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's my alma mater. So we're running my alma mater on the car. So Reclam Tech, they got a bye week tomorrow, so just gonna sit back and not get frustrated with them winning or losing. Obviously, Legacy Power, that's the company I work for here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So anybody interested in going residential solar, definitely hit up legacypower.com. Titletown Racing with Dylan, West, Zach, David Modspaw, Blake Howell, and Chris Wheeler. He wasn't able to make it tonight, but big shout out to those guys. Wes does all of our paints, so he spends a lot of time doing these and making sure these rides look pretty sick. And then Angel and Greg for putting on the league. They do a tremendous job. They don't take any bull from anybody, even if it's one of their own guys. I'm not throwing shade or anything like that, but they do a really tremendous job running this league and what they set up. So continue to build on that. And then everybody back home, my girl, my family watching this stream, got another win. Moves us up in the seeding. So hopefully we can go make some noise in the playoffs and try to bring home Titletown Racing a championship. You in the booth as well. Sorry about that.
Anytime, man. Well, congrats on the win. After the bye week, head to Atlanta. So maybe I'll talk to some of you guys then.
Yeah, man. Sounds good. Appreciate it.
Anytime. All right, everybody. That was the top 3 finishers here. We did have tons of side-by-side racing, and it was a heck of a finish there. So we'll go ahead and take a look here at the final results. So we got Ricky Gonzalez winning, Austin Missler in second, George Jewell third, Angel Santiago fourth, Blake Howell in fifth, Ira Kohlhaas in sixth, Mark Parkhurst finished seventh, John McIntyre in eighth, Jonathan Cogswell ninth, Zach Woods in 10th, David Mayo, Bill Sleep, David Mazepah, Kevin Gibney Jr., Greg Wood Jr. Round out the top 15. Then we've got Dylan McDonald, Wes Fuller, James McCaney, and then Nolan Pomperan and Josh Pomperan both stuck it on the hauler a little bit early there. But overall, I think it was a heck of a race. Lots of good side-by-side action. Everybody basically was complaining about the same thing, but everybody dealt with it. Stayed green for most of the race. I mean, other than the 2 stage breaks, we had 1 caution. So I look forward to Atlanta in a couple weeks. I'm gonna head south to Homestead for a little fun in the sun next Friday. So I will see you guys all in 2 weeks.